Hi, this is Misha. And one more today. Why not? Let's talk about the Nova class science survey craft from Voyager. Also, a little bit from the Enterprise series. I've got two versions here, both from Eagle Moss, of course. And yeah, that's pretty much the only company I know that has done these. I have the original Nova design, the Equinox, which we know to be a science vessel. And then I have the refit here, seen in the final episode in-game of Voyager. Also briefly in Enterprise, at least I believe it was this version that was shown in the future battle at Procyon 5. Anyway, this was Harry Kinn's ship, the Rhode Island. These are the two Novas we know exist. We can also assume there's a USS Nova prototype, ship class. So yeah, the Nova was essentially the replacement for the Oberth, finally. After over a century, the Oberth was replaced as the kind of modular, adaptable science ship. It's also called a planetary survey ship. In Voyager, they explicitly say it is not for deep space, long-term missions, and it has limited tactical abilities. That said, it does have Type 10 or 11, I can't remember right now, phasers and photon torpedoes, 2 forward launcher and 1 rear, because finally, after Wolf 359 and the Dominion War, the Federation realized that, yeah, every ship needs some weaponry. Now, this was actually launched initially before the Dominion War because Voyager Janeway knew about the Nova class, so we can presume it was launched around 2370, a contemporary with Voyager, the Intrepid. There's a little debate about how long it is, but it seems like about 180 to 220 meters. We do know it has 8 decks with a crew of about 80. It has kind of fins on the engines here, go fast fins, but it's only capable of a max warp of about 8. We've got a single main impulse engine in the rear. We do have 2 deflectors, or at least 2 sensors. We've got the main one where it usually is. Then we've got one on the front. I think this is kind of neat for a, science ship to have more sensor capability or deflector capability, if you will. We also have a recessed bridge, which really, if you look at the Oberth, it kind of has something not dissimilar. Now, real world, the reason was, early on, this was considered to be a potential design for the Defiant, the so-called Pathfinder. So they recessed the bridge for tactical defensive purposes to better protect it. But I think it works pretty well as a science ship, too. Also, the name Nova, I remember this firsthand from back in the 90s when the encyclopedia came out. It said that the Nova would be the name of the new class for the Enterprise E after the D, because even before First Contact, even before Generations, they knew that the D wouldn't last forever. So originally, Nova as a name was going to be the Galaxy class replacement. So this is kind of a ship made out of spare parts, a spare name and a spare design for other things, but I still think it looks neat, and it has a unique look, and it fits in well, and it's nice to see a dedicated science ship. It does have a number of science bays and modules and laboratories. Interestingly, it doesn't have a dedicated tactical seat or section on the bridge, so if you need weapons, you just kind of use one of the other consoles. So they made it look like a true science ship. And in my argument, this should have been what we saw in Voyager. I really like the story of the Equinox. How it was a ship that was unprepared, that was thrown halfway across the galaxy, had a well-intentioned crew, at least early on, but they continually had to make compromises to survive. And I think that's a neat story that would have really been a neat series to talk about, when to be Federation and when not to. And it's more realistic, too. I mean, how much do you hang on to your principles? And Captain Ransom even says that. I just think it would have been a cool series. Still not too late. Plus, I like Captain Ransom, the actor, so it's a good thing. I thought it was a good series and a good episode of Voyager. And it really kind of highlighted. I think Janeway could have definitely played a conflicted captain like that. Hell, she did. They just never acknowledged it in the series. Yeah, this should have been what we saw of Voyager, a science ship tossed out with no support and having to decide consequences. And then we have the refit seen in the last episode of Voyager, the Rhode Island, like I said, captained by Harry Kim. I enjoy how he went from being ensign to captain. Boy, there's just no... he must have been in the JJ-verse promotion track, huh? I'll talk about that in another video, but that's one thing that bugged me about the new Star Trek films was how quickly Kirk went from cadet to captain. Anyway, just nitpicking, I know. Originally, they were just going to use the Equinox model for Kim's ship, which would have been okay because it's a relatively new ship, and even though the episode, at least the part of it this was featured in, was in 2404, this was still a relatively modern design, certainly newer than Oberth we've seen in other episodes, but at the last minute, dedicated folks decided to give it a little bit of a makeover. Some changes I like kind of recessing the fins on the engines, on the nacelles. Also, they gave it new Bassard collectors. They went to the standard, bridge dome. It's fine, but it's more standard. Same with kind of filling in the front part of the saucer. It's more of an arrow, kind of a soft arrow shape now. I don't know, I kind of like the cutout in the original. I just think it looks unique. That's just me, though. Something different. It's definitely more conventional. Funnily enough, they still put a little cavity there for a secondary deflector. And as seen in the episode, this seems to be more of a combat ship, or at least increased tactical abilities, because it took on a Negvar. So you'd think the recessed bridge would have been kept for defensive purposes, but hey, whatever. At least it looks a little different. We could even just say it's not even a Nova class if we wanted. It's different enough. We've definitely seen things like the Soyuz that look very much like a Miranda in that case that are considered different classes, so it's up to the directors. And they never explicitly said it was a Nova. A lot of people like this model, this design, more than the Equinox. I don't hate it, but to be honest, I kind of think the original is better, just because it's more distinctive, more unique. This one's definitely more of a conventional Starfleet design. Either way, nice new ships that we saw in Voyager, giving the fleet more depth, and a kind of a glimpse of what could have been for Voyager as a series. I think that would have been great. I think these models that Eagle Moss did are nice. I don't know that anyone else has done an Equinox. Maybe they've done a Nova. Probably someone out there has, but has anyone really done a Rhode Island? I strongly doubt it. And these models are well done, too, especially the Rhode Island. They learned a few lessons, but both are very solid feeling. And just neat to have for the little collection. Good size, too. They actually scale quite nicely with the XL Voyager. So yeah, so that I would share the Oberth's replacement, the Nova class patrol ship, survey ship, science ship, and wholly unequipped to make it back at max of warp 8 from the Delta Quadrant, but terribly equipped to basically turn alien critters into biofuel and use those. So let's be honest, most people, except the extremely self-righteous, would have done exactly the same. You know, in times of hardship. Yeah. Anyway, if you like, appreciate it if you could subscribe and share. Feel free to leave any comments below, and also check out some of my other nerd videos. And if for some reason you haven't, do check out our main page on YouTube over at Mishaco. It's much more professional. This is just me kind of goofing off to relax. So, hope you enjoyed it. Well, this is Misha, and I will catch you next time.